All right, guys, workouts 2 and 3 for the Wodapalooza qualifier have been announced. And I want to talk a little bit about how the best way to execute these workouts is going to go for you and some things that you might want to consider going into them. So, workout 2, it's really simple. It's essentially a heavy version of Grace, right? You and a barbell. It is minute 0 to minute 3 AMRAP of clean and jerks. The weight for the men is 165, for the women it's 115. Now, some things to consider here is that 3 minutes is likely a lot longer than you anticipate it being. I think it is important to understand where your clean and jerk 1 rep max is relative to the weight, but I don't think even for the strongest of athletes within our space that will accumulate a great score in this workout, that touch and go are necessary at all, let alone out the gate. I know myself, a workout like Grace, something where you're either completing or being close to completing unbroken, touch and go are certainly worth it. But when we really think about the amount of volume that we can accumulate within 3 minutes of just steady, consistent work with that barbell, then I think singles are the way to go. Now, one thing that you guys are gonna wanna definitely do is properly warm up the hinging movement, specifically in your overhead position. What I would encourage you guys to do is a good bit of rowing prior to the workout as your general prep and warm up, maybe 3 to 5 minutes of rowing, just to make sure that your hips, your low back, and your hamstrings are really warm. And then also some overhead stability work. And I prefer this by means of handstand holds, whether it's against the wall or in space. And then also some free hanging from the pull-up rig where I'm actually elongating and loosening up my lats. And then I'll often finish up my general prep and warm up with maybe some overhead carries with kettlebells and or dumbbells. And then I'm right into the barbell cycling stuff for the warm up. Several Romanian deadlifts and deadlifts with a traditional barbell would be a great idea to help loosen up the hamstrings. And then I would go right into cycling practice and cycling work as you build to that 165 and 115. Now, as you do that, as you're prepping, we have to have the end in sight. And the end of this workout is after you accumulate that 0 to 3 minutes, minute 3 to minute 5 is your rest, relaxation, but more importantly, transition and prep for the clean and jerk. Now, you know other people cannot load your weights, so you have to have the responsibility of doing that. So no matter how tired you are, you gotta make sure you're preparing your barbell for the latter half. Then we're gonna go minutes 5 through minutes 8. That's a 3-minute window. You get to establish a 1 rep max clean and jerk. And essentially we're going ground overhead. Any style is gonna be welcome. You guys could split clean, power clean, squat clean, and you could push press, push jerk, or split jerk that overhead. So have in mind the way that you want to attack this. On that first part, with just cycling singles, you're gonna build up a ton of fatigue in your back, even in your overhead position. So have that consideration as you prepare for what will be my opener in a 3-minute window. Also consider how many attempts are you likely going to get, right? In minutes 5 to minutes 8, there's gonna be some fatigue that will amass. Now with the 2-minute window to recover, you should feel pretty good. A lot of you that have been training consistently, especially on a program like the kind that we design, we've done a lot of all-out effort style works with a moderate recovery window and then right back into the work. So you should feel prepared for this. But one thing is that each of our 1 rep maxes are very different. If I plan on hitting my best or going for a PB at the latter part of this 3-minute window, what I'm gonna likely do is open up at about 80% of my 1 rep max or 85% of my 1 rep max. Now, some people prefer to open up heavier. This for me builds some confidence and it allows me to feel how the weights specifically feel on that given day in that given specific window of time. So I suggest in your warm-up, guys, caveating back all the way to what I was getting to in the warm-up, make sure that you're hitting that weight at least once, right? I would say build up to 80 to 85%, feel really confident in the way that you execute that lift, feel good, and then have in mind where you'd like to be in the finish. If for some reason the weights feel really heavy and you feel sluggish as you make that first attempt in your 1 rep max window, then don't be afraid to adapt your plan, right? The ability to adapt is going to greatly affect your ability to succeed in this situation. So if it feels heavy, it feels sloppy, maybe the jumps aren't gonna be the way that you write them down on paper. But it would be an error, a fool's errand to not have a plan. So make sure that you guys have a plan. I'm a big fan of telling my athletes and for myself personally to either get it in my phone on my notes or to have it written out as a plan on a piece of paper, something that I can even see during my rest so that I know what to load the bar to. So it's a really simple workout. The thing that I want you guys to have is for the conditioning portion in 0 to 3, maybe have an idea of how often you should be picking up the bar, right? Maybe it looks like every 10 seconds for some of you. Maybe it looks like every 5 seconds for others. But understand what that pace feels like. And so even as you warm up and you get yourself set to enter that stage of the workout, start to accumulate that rhythm, right? Start to go through a few sets of where you're doing 3 singles back to back to back with the same pacing that you intend on starting the workout. So have that dialed in, stay the course, understand if you're gonna choose to push press or push jerk the shoulder to overhead. The push press may save you a second per repetition or a split second per repetition, and over the course of 20 to 30 reps, that really does add up, but only if you can transition to a push jerk smoothly, and only if you're not pre-fatiguing your shoulders too much for what's to come in the latter parts of that workout. So guys, fine tune your game plan, set a standard, try to stick to it. Hinge muscles, your hinge muscle groups, your low back, your glutes, your hamstrings are what we want to make sure are warmed up and prepped along with your overhead position. And make sure the camera's ready to rock and roll. This one's really easy because it's just you, the barbell, and some weights. Go get it.